Good afternoon, and thank you, councillors, for attending this members' briefing session. This is a recorded briefing, so by attending you are given permission to be recorded. A copy of this briefing will be uploaded to the borough's YouTube webpage. I've been asked to give this presentation to all members relating to the Community Infrastructure Levy, known as SIL, and Section 106 planning obligation, income and expenditure. Within the presentation, I'll be giving you some information you may want to share with your parishes and community. This is a good news presentation. My name is Amanda Driver and I am the SIL officer for this borough. With the help of my very efficient colleague Robin, who is the assistant SIL officer, we administer all aspects of SIL, from when a planning application is granted to when the SIL money is spent. These are the subjects I'll be talking about today. The briefing is broken into 4 sections. The first section relates to the statutory obligations of the infrastructure funding statement. I'll refer to that document as IFS. And then I will go into greater detail relating to the Section 106 obligation funding. After the 106 information, I will pause to answer any questions relating to these topics prior to going on to the SIL details. I will also take questions relating to the SIL data at the end of sessions 3 and 4. In addition, if you have any questions during the briefing, please put them into the chat function and I will address them at the end of the presentation. As a collecting authority for SIL, there is a requirement to produce an annual infrastructure funding statement, which is sent to central government and will also be published on our website. Prior to the current IFS being published, it was felt by the SIL spending panel that the information contained within the report is of interest to all elected members. I've been asked to provide an overview of the report and also additional information on SIL income, allocations and spending to date, parish payments and the SIL funding criteria and process for applications. So firstly, the IFS, the funding statement provides information on monetary and non-monetary contributions sought and received from developers for the provision of infrastructure to support development in this borough, and the subsequent use of these contributions by the council relating to the Community Infrastructure Levy and Section 106 obligations. In accordance with the SIL regulations, this authority has a statutory requirement to monitor and record all income and expenditure. This information is to be reported in a format produced by central government. The format of the report is predefined and contains factual data based on financial reports maintained by internal departments, including strategic housing, SIL officers and accountancy. This report will be published in December on our web pages and also sent to central government. So, this is the good news part. For the first time, details about Section 106 allocated funding, income and spending will be made available without submitting a Freedom of Information request. I will now go through some of the contents of the IFS statement. The information I'm going to provide is factual and does not require any member actions. It's just for information. This slide shows the headlines of Section 106 contributions for the financial year 21-22. The top table gives a summary of financial contributions relating to planning obligations agreed by way of a Section 106. There is £258,000 expected to be paid relating to applications granted within this financial year. £218,000 has been received in the financial year from previously approved applications. £123,000 has been allocated and spent in this financial year, with £710,000 retained. This is money received and allocated, but not yet spent, and it excludes the long-term maintenance contributions. And lastly, £541,000 has been retained. This is money received for long-term projects known as commuted sums. This money is usually allocated over a 15-year period. The second table gives an overview of non-financial obligations. There have been 19 affordable housing units completed and an expected 70 units under Section 106 is granted within this financial period at 21-22. We do not report on monies received, allocated and spent by Norfolk County Council. They must produce their own IFS. Their report will include education, library and highways contributions. Within the document, there are tables containing more detail of the Section 106 obligations. This slide shows the breakdown of expected income. So Section 106 contributions under planning applications approved in the financial year, which include financial contributions for affordable housing, habitat mitigation payments, commuted sums, for example, grass cutting on adopted land and play area maintenance, and any other money allocated to infrastructure, and also the non-financial social housing units. The table contains information relating to the planning application, the parish, and the contribution types. Each year, the IFS will also provide details of the social housing units completed within the financial year, broken down by parish. So, going forward, every parish will be able to see what social housing has been agreed, as detailed in the previous table, and completed within the financial year. Within the IFS, there is also a breakdown of financial spending by contribution type, as shown in this table. So it's broken down by habitat mitigation and open space maintenance. The second table shows the amount received, which is retained and allocated, but not spent, including the commuted sums. And lastly, this is an extract from data at Annex B of the IFS. The Annex has a predefined summary table for both Section 106 and SIL statutory details as required under Schedule 2 of the SIL regulations. Does anyone have any questions relating to the Section 106 data within the IFS before I move on to the SIL details? No. Robin, my colleague Robin is saying there's no questions, so I'm going to move on now to the SIL details. The SIL information is for this information on the table in front of you is for information only, and no action is required from members. This table shows the headlines relating to CIL as contained within the IFS for financial year 21-22. The top table shows the amount of SIL invoiced, received and spent within the financial year. SIL is paid once work starts on development and is normally paid within 60 days from the start date or in line with our adopted instalment policy. The money received and invoiced will never match due to the 60-day payment period falling between two financial years. Also, there are some outstanding debts. However, the SIL regulations enable enforcement actions, which include late payment surcharges at 30 days, 6 months and 12 months. And late payment interest is accrued up to the date full payment is made. We do take enforcement action for late payments and would take debtors to court if required. Regulation 59E and F, which shows a 0, relates to parish council repayments. This would occur where the parish have received SIL parish funds and not used it for infrastructure, or within the 5-year period from receipt. To date, we've not had any repayments, which is really good news. The next table shows the summary of expenditure, which only relates to spend for the financial year 21-22. 5% of income is used to cover the administration of SIL, for example, wages and professional fees, including legal advice. The parish payments are made twice a year in April and October, based on money received from development within each parish. We automatically calculate the statutory 15% or 25% where a neighbourhood plan is adopted. Within the annexes of the IFS, there are in-depth tables showing all parish SIL payments, allocations and receipts for the financial year. All SIL parish payments and spending is monitored. Annual reports are already published on the SIL web pages, but this information will also now be included in the annual infrastructure statement. I'll now go into more details about current project funding to date in the next few slides. To give relevance to this presentation, I'll now provide details of SIL to date. This screenshot is an overview of the total income received to date since SIL was adopted in 2017. This is a screenshot of our active spreadsheet. You can see highlighted in red, since the adoption of SIL, we have received 4.5 million income to date. I just want to touch on future income at this point. So Robin and I have administered £8 million of SIL applications, which includes exemptions granted. There are currently 341 active exemptions where work has started, with 74 completed dwellings currently in the clawback period, which is 3 years for self-build houses and annexes, or 7 years for social housing. This information is relevant as it may be possible income. If an exemption is made invalid due to a land sale or private rent, this SIL would become payable. In addition, there have been 21 self-built houses now completed and removed from the local land charge register. So they've been completed over 3 years ago, and that adds to our self-build, to support development for the people who want to live in their villages in a house that they've developed themselves. There are also currently 409 active SIL applications which have been approved but not yet commenced, totaling £15 million, and £1 million has been invoiced to applications which have started awaiting payment, but these include instalment payments due over a 3-year period. It is difficult to forecast future payments as some applications are not implemented, some apply for exemptions prior to commencement, and others are superseded by new applications. Okay, back to the spreadsheet. The blue box shows the total amount of SIL infrastructure funding which will be allocated to projects in the borough. And lastly, the parish payments. There are currently 14 adopted neighbourhood plans receiving 25% SIL income, the rest getting 15%. Taking into consideration the next round of SIL parish payments to be made by the 28th of April 2023, the total sum paid to parishes will be in excess of £791,000. This is to be used by parishes to support development within their areas. All information relating to SIL parish payments can be found on our website, which include guidance on how and when parish payments are made, how it can be spent, and also the statutory reporting requirements. Each parish clerk who have received funding have also been provided with one-to-one training. So just for information, each parish must submit an annual statutory report to us, and their parish SIL must be spent within 5 years from receipt. But they can save for larger projects if it is declared in their annual report. The SIL Financial Reports webpage is where the funding statements are published, which we're discussing today. These web pages also contain statutory reports produced by parishes, which they send in to us. We redact the signatures and we put them on our website. Summaries of all SIL parish payments made and how parishes have spent them. Does anyone have any questions relating to SIL income and SIL parish payments before I move on to the SIL infrastructure project funding details? Oh, someone's got their hand up. Councillor Bubb.
Thank you. Is there yet any way for the parishes that don't have a precept to get SIL money for projects? It seems rather unfair that these people are penalised in this way. I had hoped that we might have got some system to correct this problem. I've got 2 parishes in my ward that have no precept, but one of them wants to do a project.
Within the application that I'm going to go on to next, any parish or council meeting or community group can apply for funding, irrespective if they've got a precept or not. But are you talking about the SIL parish payment or SIL infrastructure funding for projects?
Probably the infrastructure funding, but if the parish has no precept, they have their bank account or anything, or RFO or anything. So the only thing that I could think of was once they've got the project done, they pass the bill directly to the borough. But that may not be acceptable, of course.
That's not included within the agreement for the infrastructure project funding, which I'm going to go into more detail in the next few slides. In relation to the SIL parish payments, generally, if there was development in that area where there was no parish precept, it would be difficult for the SIL parish payment to be paid because it's generally paid into the same bank account as the parish precept. But we haven't really had a situation where that's happened to date. But if it did, I'm sure that some arrangement would be made that the SIL would be able to be paid into that community meeting where there is no parish precept. But the parish payment is completely separate from the infrastructure project funding, which I'm now going to go on to next after these questions. Is that okay, Councillor Bubb?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Kemp.
I just wanted to mention the fact about the unparished areas, because most of the development is in the unparished town areas, but SIL is set at 0%. But I understand that town areas can apply, and this would need to be through local organisations because they're unparished.
We are, at the moment, we're just talking about SIL income and SIL parish payments. The next section, in section 4, I'll be talking about the infrastructure project funding. So it may be my presentation within the next slides may answer that question
We'll
for
include
you.
it. Fine,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else, Robin? Okay. Oh, someone got the hand up. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to the infrastructure project funding details. This first table shows the split of SIL project funding within the 3 SIL zonal charging areas based on our adopted charging schedule. The map shows the 3 main zonal areas with the north-south split and Kings Lynn in yellow. Major housing projects will bring forward on-site infrastructure through Section 106 agreements, which may include open space and public facilities. But as Kings Lynn and West Winch are areas of significant growth, it is important to ensure that SIL funding is allocated to projects within this area to support new development. There have been 3 rounds of SIL project applications so far. These 3 pie charts show the percentage of funding allocated within each zone based on the successful applications. This last chart shows that funding allocations have evened out within the 3 zones. All zones have been allocated a similar percentage of SIL funding, which closely matches the percentage of planning applications granted for dwellings within each zone, and this includes unparished areas that are 0 rated. This slide gives an overview of this council's SIL infrastructure project funding. This table provides an overview of the total funds allocated to infrastructure projects to date. We're still waiting for 3 signed agreements from the last round of applications prior to formal allocation of funds relating to £87,000. But once these have been received, you can see that just over £2 million has been allocated to date. This second table gives a breakdown of the project numbers for the 3 rounds of SIL funding applications we've had so far. There have been 125 projects to benefit from SIL funding to date. The total number of projects allocated funding was 128. However, 3 projects withdrew their requests and are not shown within these stats. Over the 3 rounds, we've received 190 applications, with only 162 unsuccessful applications due to low scoring or available funds within the funding criteria. However, the criteria has changed for 2023 to reflect the need to allocate more funding for leisure and community facilities, and the percentage of funding for each project criteria has been amended to allow further funding for smaller community projects. There is currently almost 1.4 million available to be allocated to projects in 2023. This reflects actual income and not a projected sum. This sum is likely to increase by close of accounts at the end of this financial year. The 125 allocated projects have been separated into criteria specified by government for their monitoring purposes. The majority of successful projects allocated SIL funding relate to community facilities. There have been 49 projects relating to community facilities, which have included the refurbishment of pavilions, village halls, public toilets, and even school and church facilities. With a total of 43 projects for open space and play areas, such as the £50,000 match funding for the Howdale play area in Downham Market and £50,000 match funding for West Winch play area. There's been outdoor play equipment in smaller villages, including Sholdham, Hartley and Walpole Highway, a cycle track at Grimston, and also Hunstanton open air exercise equipment. The 23 highways projects have included new footpaths, car park refurbishments, street lighting, replacement bus shelters, and the Hunstanton Community Centre height restriction barrier. The 6 green projects include solar power projects, assisting community transport to purchase a new zero emission dialer bus, and funding has been allocated to protect Heacham's green spaces. And lastly, the 4 economic development projects are funding to support construction training linked to 18 plus education to support college education facilities, a new portable festival 2 stage which can be used throughout the borough to support tourism, Downham Market Town Council market starter kits to support new independent businesses, and tourist information signage in Downham Market. Does anyone have any questions relating to SIL projects before I move on to section 4 to discuss future project applications? Nope, I haven't got anyone. I'll now move on to the most important part, really, the next round of applications. It would be really useful if you could share the information, the following information with your community. I will now give an overview of the next round of funding applications. The SIL funding pot is approximately £1 million per annum. In line with the SIL regulations, every borough must produce a list of criteria to which SIL may be used. Spending decisions are made by a member-led committee called the SIL Spending Panel. The SIL Spending Panel review the project criteria based on application history and corporate objectives to meet the changing needs and aspirations of this borough and to support future infrastructure. The governance document is then amended and approved by Cabinet on an annual basis. This slide shows the criteria for funding in 2023. In-depth information relating to this criteria can be found within the 2023 SIL governance document. The funding is based on the amount you wish to apply for, not the overall cost of a project. The panel's decisions on which projects should be given funding is based on the scoring criteria and whether the project is infrastructure to support new development. It is therefore important to complete the SIL application, ensuring the maximum amount of evidence possible is provided to gain a high score. As elected members, you have a really important role in assisting parishes and community groups to submit SIL funding applications and maybe provide written support or funding advice. Community groups are advised to liaise with parish and local community meetings and elected members before submitting an application. Project scoring takes into consideration community support. So your written confirmation of support can be via email or letter for a project will be taken into consideration as part of the scoring process. Projects can score a maximum of 5 points for different types of community support. So, for example, a parish council, a borough councillor, a ward councillor, a local community group and community feedback would gain maximum points. A project should not seek support from, say, 5 local community groups, as this would only count as one type of community support. The next round of SIL funding project applications will open on the 1st of January 2023 for 1 month. Information relating to the next round has been emailed to all parish clerks and is available to view on the SIL webpages. Also, press releases have been sent out. In addition, our comms team will be publishing articles relating to SIL funding in the next few weeks. Parish and local community groups are able to bid for SIL funding, even if they receive SIL parish payments. If applications are successful, terms of reference must be signed and returned before any SIL is formally allocated to the project. All successful projects have 5 years to be completed, or in line with their forecasted time period, which is used to score each application. We require annual updates on the progress of a project until it is completed. Shorter term projects will be viewed more favourably. On completion of the project, we require evidence which must include invoices showing expenditure and photographs for publicity purposes. I will now briefly walk you through the funding application process. We will only accept online applications, and all details relating to funding and the application link can be found on our web pages. Using the link from the SIL funding webpage, you will be automatically taken to the application portal. In the portal, you can see the current governance document relating to future applications. You can also view the progress of all successful projects and see details of unsuccessful projects, as this information has been made available to ensure transparency. For new applications, the status on the right will say open, which means submissions can be made. Until 9 AM on the 1st of January, the status for new applications will remain as future, but I have set up a dummy form for you to view when you click on the link Funding Applications 2023_1, as highlighted in the red box. This screenshot shows the application landing page, which is guidance on how to access the comments tab, and you have to use the comments tab to make the application. The software we use is looking at changing that, so it will actually say make an application. But once the application period is open, when you select add comment, you will be asked to log in. The online form has been revised to make it simpler, and advice has been added to assist applicants. For example, types of evidence to submit, etc. We use the same online portal as the local plan consultations. Therefore, if you have an account through local plan submissions, this can be used to access the online portal. If someone has a login but has forgotten a password, it can be reset from the portal landing page. If someone has a login and they've forgotten their login details, they can contact either myself or Robin via email, and we will reset that information for them. If you're going to apply, please provide a brief description of the project and don't include any written sensitive information regarding bids, as the information submitted, including the project description, will be made available to the public. However, any submitted attachments will not be made public except for, the proposed drawings, plans and photographs. We do not ever share the contact details for applicants. At the moment, there is a dummy application already set up, so you can see what information is required within the form without logging in. So where it says view comments, in brackets 1, that's a dummy application that I've set up. The submitted applications will not be viewable once you've pressed send until the spending panel have reviewed all the applications and successful projects have been selected. But the application details will be published as an agenda item for the spending panel meetings. Please, can you share this information about SIL applications and, if possible, provide support to projects within your areas. I hope that you found this presentation both interesting and informative. Does anyone have any questions about the application process? Are there any questions in chat, Robin? Are there any further questions relating to SIL that any members may have? Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you very much, members. This recording will be placed on the YouTube, on the Borough Council YouTube for future reference, and I will send round a copy of the presentation as well to all councillors. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda. Much
Thank you.
obliged.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Very good. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Thank you.